Did you know that truck that's driving directly next to you that could swerve at any moment may or may not know the difference between the brake pedal and the clutch? Yeah, it turns out that guy, potentially, might only have about 4 weeks of experience. Because with Swift, specifically, as well as many other companies, they send people to schools. How do I know this? I went to one, and it was only 4 weeks between me starting that school and me actually being in the truck with people's lives depending on me knowing what I'm doing. So week 1, fun fact, classrooms. You don't even touch the truck the entire first week. Isn't that reassuring? See, I was giving a large estimate with the month. It's actually more like 3 weeks-ish. 2.5 if you consider that the 4th week is kind of the test week. But week 1, basically just general stuff. Like, it's in a classroom, and you're just taking your physical, taking your permit test, and learning that trains are big and scary. And that was a serious thing. They spent like a day just telling us that trains are big and scary and we need to avoid them. They bring somebody in specifically to do that. But that's the entire first week, is literally the biggest thing you do when it comes to trucking and learning how to truck is getting your permit. That feels like an entire waste of a week if I'm being blunt. Like, it seems like they could have done something a bit better to get you ready considering the, rush they're in. Week 2 starts your actual driving. And in week 2, you would think, oh, I moved to the big lot that's like right next to the facility. No, you move onto the street. Straight to the street. Why to the street? Liability, apparently. If you run somebody over in their lot, apparently that's on them. But if you hit somebody while driving their truck on the main roads, somehow that's on you. How? I have no idea. That doesn't seem to be quite right, does it? But yeah, no, that will 100% be on you if you hit somebody in their truck on the road. Week 2, that's all you're doing. They are sending you as many places as they can think of. They send you on the highway, they send you in diamonds, any little zigzaggy path you could think of around town. You'll probably be in a full trailer and rig, which even that is absurd. Why would you have a brand new driver not driving bobtail? That's week 2. You get to drive on the street, and hopefully, as long as you don't hit anybody, which does happen, and as long as you don't accidentally roll back on somebody the millionth time that the engine dies on this little hill that they have you go up, assuming you survive that, you get to go into week 3. What's week 3? Something that should have been week 2. It's maneuvers on the lot. Yeah, this is where the liability thing comes in. So week 2 gives you driving experience. Week 3, they feel more comfortable that you're not going to hit somebody on their lot, and they have to legally teach you the maneuvers. So this is when that starts. But no, week 3 is maneuvers. What's maneuvers? It's this. Kinda, sorta. I was never very good at that one. It's this thing, which is literally just moving from one parking spot to the other parking spot. When do you need this? I don't know. I never used it. There's other ways to do it. Most people would just wrap the building. And then there's this other thing that I don't entirely remember. I spent money on this. Yeah, one of the maneuvers I straight up just don't remember at this point. But these things are kind of pointless, because even when you learn them, you get saddled with somebody out in the field, and they teach you a whole other way to do all of this. This is supposed to be used to get into a dock. It's called docking, I believe. You don't use it out in the field. They teach you a totally different way of doing this whenever you actually get your mentor, which, yeah, you get one of those for all of 2 weeks. But they teach you this because you have to legally know this, and they teach you that because you have to legally know that, and they teach you another thing because legally you have to know it. Just keep in mind, none of these things are actually going to be used in the field. With that said, week 4, you may think it's continued maneuvering. It is not. See, you have to do an inspection of these trucks, and for some reason, you have driven the truck on the main road, driven the truck in their lot, and you're just now learning how to do an inspection to make sure that the thing you're driving isn't going to break down out from under you. You may ask, why do they save that for week 4? Because these trucks are garbage. Because these trucks are pure garbage. Because these trucks are so bad that even a lot of the instructors that they have here don't want to drive in them, even in the passenger seat. It's so bad that I saw nuts falling off this thing as it was driving down the road. Now that you know how to inspect it, you know what a death trap it was. And that's why when you go to take your test, you will be terrified, justifiably so, because you now know the engine's bad, the air filter's clogged, the brakes are as thin as they can be without physically not working, and every single bit and bob that you're supposed to inspect on this truck is going to fail under a normal circumstance. Why doesn't it fail now? Because somebody is bribed to let these trucks pass. That is my only idea of why these trucks are allowed to do what they do, is because somebody was bribed handsomely. The test is at the end of the week. The last week is just you watching videos and learning how to inspect the truck. Not really that eventful, other than, dying a little on the inside when you realize how bad these trucks are. If you're trusting this test that's supposed to be pretty rigorous, honestly, it's supposed to be like a good evaluation of whether or not somebody knows what they're doing, it's not. You only need to know a tiny, tiny fraction of how to properly inspect this truck to be able to pass. Like, they're more focused on just making sure that enough people pass to care whether or not you actually know what you're doing. Nobody was really stressed out about this. Because, you're supposed to immediately be failed if you don't put your seatbelt on when you're leaving. That's how bad this was when it came to the bribing side of things, like the obvious bribing being done, is I saw many guys not put their seatbelts on, and the instructor would just tell them, hey, put your seatbelt on, and then continue the test. And that pretty much sums up everything about training. You can very clearly tell that everything is set up with the intent of just getting people behind the wheel, and nobody actually cares. So the next time you see somebody behind the wheel, that's either somebody with 40 years of experience or somebody who literally doesn't know what the brake is. And there's no way to tell either way.